You always use aspects of yourself, but there was aspects of other people that I drew on, and that's it. And that's what you're doing in lots of characters, you're doing it. But certainly feeling comfortable with women, I'm not an isolated person, you know what I mean? And I'm not probably as good physically as maybe he is. I'm good at certain things. But like I worked in that flower shop for a week with all the ladies, and it was wonderful. It was like kind of heaven for me. I mean, it was hard work, but I was learning how to make beautiful arrangements, repot orchids, and I was working with, and I had a great coach, So I've always liked when I've had female directors or female coaches or whatever. I always feel like sort of more comfortable with that. Not that there isn't some people I haven't gotten along with, but that's the trick of it. You have to make something personal and also imaginative. And, I used to make up notebooks like what I had in common with the character and what I didn't, and what I needed to, to work on. So, but I'm sure there's a lot of me in the film, across the board. I do think there's something, yes, that business can be really horrible and exploitive, but I do think, as in many businesses that you use your body, there is a direct transaction. And in many businesses, are devoid of that. So there's something that is exposing, not just physically, within that. So, there have been people who've made numerous films about that world. Same directors, sometimes Japanese, sometimes. I mean, Buñuel made a few movies where he explores that. I mean, Fellini made a movie I said before. He took a character who was small in one film and then made a whole movie out of her. So there's something about that speaks, just like the character of Avogal can speak. Because I do think in the world today we think we've got so far. We're so far advanced. In the representation of women. And I think a lot has actually gone backwards, not forwards. And I think sometimes because it's not always addressed on a nuanced level, it's like a line drawing instead of a beautiful, deep textured painting, And so that's something that interests me, because life isn't over, when you're past a certain age. Sometimes people's lives are just beginning. So anyway, I try to do that, keep those elements in there in a subtle way, and so you could be laughing and enjoying the whole film, and then all of a sudden be open to something like in life that can be tender and that could have, meaning for you. He gave me brutal notes about things that he didn't think were believable, and then I would think about him, and he'd say, "I like this part. Think about this, think about that," and I kept coming back, and he said, I could withstand his brutal criticism, but he liked me enough, and I liked him enough to think about what he said. Someone else I would have said, forget it, I'm going to go somewhere else. But I thought, this is an interesting situation, and in life, you always, once again, the idea of reinventing yourself, you're always learning. I'm still learning too. So maybe I could learn something from him. And I think he really admired that, and that's why he asked me to direct these plays in the middle of it. And then once we really got to know each other, he's alive. So if you're too afraid, you can be respectful, but if you're too afraid, then you can't really do anything, And he always liked the way I had written his character. That he always liked. But his voice is in my head, so that was it. I mean, I have enough material that I could easily do a sequel, so...